Hey besties, the drama just exploded. Blake Lively's side of the Great Unsealing has officially dropped, and it's wild. She just unleashed hundreds of documents to fight back against the motion for summary judgment, trying to keep her case alive. Can you believe she filed around 300 unsealed documents? And guess what? They're barely redacted. Only phone numbers and a few random names are blacked out. Everything else is fully visible. And yes, Taylor Swift's name pops up. Ryan Reynolds, he's in there too. There are text messages, private convos, and a whole lot of shady chatter. Apparently, Blake was talking trash with Colleen Hoover, Jenny Slate, and Taylor Swift. She even sent some flirty and questionable texts to actor Brandon Lenner. And get this, her PGA letter? It reads more like a fan fiction piece than a professional submission. She begged them for that credit and then turned around and bragged about a gift she gave to Isabella Ferre. Things get messier. Blake and Ryan were allegedly dangling promises of work, credits, and possible job offers to people just to get support for their film. They were hustling for loyalty like it was Hollywood currency. What's shocking is that even after she claimed she had major issues with some of these people, she still managed to stay friendly with them. And here's where it gets straight up confusing. Blake would talk trash about Justin to one person, then turn around and text him about how much she loved him. That's double trouble right there. But wait, there's one more bombshell from the official statement of undisputed facts. It literally says, Lively also commented on the physical appearance of actors in connection with the project, both before and after issuing these demands. That's direct from the paperwork. This story just keeps twisting, and it's only getting juicier. So here's where things really start to heat up. Back on March 29th, when Blake was chatting with Justin Baldoni about casting, she mentioned meeting an actor that Sony liked and added, "He's pretty." That's how casual she was throwing comments around. Then fast forward to May 2024, she messaged one of her younger male co-stars and said, "I'm becoming pimp adjacent. Put on a short little skirt and get on the corner, snar." And yes, she actually repeated it. Put on a short little skirt and get on the corner, snar. She'll probably say it was just a joke, and the records even confirm that she did call it a joke to S. Skinner, a 33-year-old friend and coworker. But still, imagine if Justin had said that to her. That would have blown up instantly. It's wild because she got furious when Justin once called her costume hot or sexy, but then she's out here tossing around lines like that? The double standard is crazy. And it doesn't stop there. Blake and Jenny Slate, another cast member, were also caught making comments about another female celebrity's looks while they were on set. The texts literally show Lively telling Slate, "You said you used to stare at a celebrity's midsection for hours before you finished and said what an athlete she was and how remarkable she seemed as a young girl." Then Bald jumped in saying, "Same," giggled, and apparently everyone just looked at him like, what just happened? And yes, Taylor Swift pops up in this mess too. On April 12th, 2023, Blake reportedly reached out to her superstar bestie Taylor Swift for advice and backup. She called Baldoni the douche director of my movie and even mocked him as a clown who thinks he's a writer now. She straight up vented to Taylor about the drama and even hinted at wanting her support publicly. This is some serious behind-the-scenes chaos. These texts sound more like a reality show than a film set. Now, this next part gets seriously tangled. It's all about the revised script drama and Taylor Swift's unexpected involvement. Remember when Taylor said she had no clue what was happening and felt totally ambushed when she showed up? Well, Blake's version of events paints a different picture. According to the filings, Blake claims she actually sent Taylor the script on her way to Blake's apartment. She said Justin Baldoni was still there at the time, so she asked Taylor to read the script, but told her she didn't have to. "I didn't want her to feel pressured," Blake wrote. Still, she admitted she hoped Taylor would read it. Then it gets juicy. Taylor reportedly texted back, "I'll do anything for you." That's right, she agreed to help Blake out. The two of them met with Baldoni at Blake's apartment, and Taylor apparently gave her seal of approval on the revised draft. After the meeting, Blake texted Taylor saying, "You were epically heroic today. I recapped every moment to Ryan. I kept remembering stuff. You making stuff up about me and lenses, referring to yourself as my doll, this clown falling for it, but also resisting it. You were the world's absolute greatest friend ever." So Blake literally admits in those texts that Taylor lied to him during the meeting and that they both laughed afterwards about how much Baldoni believed it. The filings even note that she's acknowledging Taylor lied to him right there. But Blake disputes that, claiming there's no solid evidence showing Taylor officially endorsed the revised script. Still, the messages speak for themselves. Then on April 14th, Baldoni messaged Blake saying he would have liked the rewrite without Ryan or Taylor's involvement. But Blake's response was straight out of a movie. She compared herself to a princess from Game of Thrones, saying Ryan and Swift were her dragons, protecting her from backlash. She even added that everyone benefited from her ties to Ryan and Swift, ending with, "And you will too." That's a bold thing to say. What's really strange is that Taylor's camp kept claiming she was blindsided, that she just said hi when she stopped by. But based on these messages, it sounds like she played a bigger role than her PR team admitted. The whole thing looks way too coordinated for an innocent drop-in. And here's where it turns dark. Baldoni also raised something very serious. He claimed that part of Blake's objections had to do with him referencing certain personal times where physical consent was not given in intimate situations, saying that he was being labeled either the abuser or the abused. That part adds a whole new layer to this. It's not just celebrity gossip anymore, it's deep and unsettling. Now, Taylor somehow knew that Stephanie Jones wanted to leak this info to Blake, which means Jones must have been going through that phone and spilling details, a clear violation of her NDA and her contract with Wayfair. That's some seriously risky business right there. It's confirmed. Blake does not dispute that Van Z is hers. And here's the bombshell. On September 27th, 2024, under Blake's direction, Van Z filed a lawsuit in New York State court. The claim? That back in August, 10 unidentified defendants breached their contracts with Van Z in a scheme to damage its reputation. And yes, that part is undisputed. But here's the kicker. It looks like this lawsuit was a cover move. Allegedly, Blake used it to launder the stolen evidence that came from that phone. The defendants were listed as John Does, even though Blake personally knew every single person involved in the film, and by extension, every party connected to Van Z's contracts. To make it even more suspicious, Van Z's official witness in that case was a lawyer with no prior relationship to the company. That alone raises massive red flags. So let's break that down. Blake's friend's publicist allegedly accessed private data, Taylor was in the loop, a lawsuit appeared out of nowhere, and a shell company was used to file it. This isn't just celebrity mess anymore. This is looking like a high-stakes legal chess game where every move was calculated to hide something big. Now, this next part reads like a courtroom soap opera with Van Z, Stephanie Jones, and Taylor Swift all tangled up in one seriously suspicious timeline. So apparently, Van Z, the company Blake Lively co-owns with Ryan Reynolds, made an implausible claim that any information it had about the contractors named in their lawsuit was privileged. But that got shot down fast. The records literally say the evidence doesn't support that claim, straight up disputed. Here's where things start sounding shady. Around October 1st, 2024, Van Z took advantage of a loophole in New York law that lets parties start discovery before the actual issues are joined, especially if no defendants have been formally named yet. Using that rule, Van Z served a subpoena on Jones Works, yep, Stephanie Jones's PR firm, asking for documents related to sexual harassment or retaliation tied to the film, plus anything about marketing, publicity, or PR related to it. But here's the wild part. Van Z wasn't even connected to the film. The company had nothing to do with It Ends With Us, and yet on October 1st, it served that subpoena anyway. The filings confirm it. Undisputed that Van Z served Jones Works with a document subpoena, even though the complaint didn't mention the film at all. Van Zee also had no contract, no communication, no prior dealings with Jones' works before that day. So how did they know exactly to ask for? That's the million-dollar question. And here's where Taylor Swift reappears, because somehow Taylor already knew that Stephanie Jones was sitting on a pile of information she was about to drop. She warned Blake about it in advance, showing she was in the loop before any of this hit the surface. That timing is just too precise to ignore. It's starting to look like Blake's camp knew exactly where to dig and who to target, and Taylor's tip might have pointed them in the right direction. This makes a lot of sense when you think about why Taylor has stayed completely silent ever since. She's been distancing herself like her life depends on it. And here's another twist. On December 4th and 5th, just before a major New York Times article dropped, Blake and Taylor were secretly texting about it. Taylor allegedly wrote, "This bitch knows something is coming because he's gotten out his tiny violin." That's what she said, word for word. So while Taylor's public stance has been, "I had nothing to do with this," these private texts tell a different story, one where she was aware of what was brewing, maybe even preparing for fallout. Between the fake lawsuit moves, early subpoenas, and hush-hush messages, this saga feels less like a Hollywood feud and more like a behind-the-scenes operation, and Taylor's silence suddenly makes a lot more sense. Now, this next part is the real emotional gut punch, and it might be the most revealing moment yet. The quote everyone's talking about comes straight from Taylor's text message to Blake, where she allegedly wrote, "This bitch knows something is coming because he's gotten out his tiny violin." That's what she said, word for word. And seriously, does that sound like someone who's scared or like someone who thinks she's dealing with a predator? Not really. It sounds more like Taylor was deep in the strategy, helping Blake hit back hard. It's honestly shocking to see that kind of tone from her. What's wild is we've never seen Taylor talk like that publicly. She's always polished, composed, the picture of restraint. So to read her casually calling someone this bitch is totally out of character. Imagine if Baldoni had used that same word toward them. The reaction would have been explosive. Now, the official record says the evidence doesn't prove that Blake and Taylor were coordinating right before that New York Times article dropped on December 4th and 5th, but it is undisputed that those exact words appear in the source material. So the text is real, even if the lawyers are fighting about the context. And reading this in real time, it's honestly uncomfortable, because the way Blake and Taylor talk privately feels miles away from their clean, positive public images. Their friendship behind the scenes sounds more like a power alliance than two people just supporting each other. It's painful to process because these are women who often speak about empowerment, fairness, and standing against mistreatment, yet here they sound like they're plotting and mocking someone behind closed doors. The tone isn't protective or scared, it's calculating. Taylor's words, her actions, all suggest she wasn't being manipulated, she was choosing to help Blake. She joined in on the gossip, she backed Blake's story, and from these texts, it even seems like she played a role in shaping the New York Times narrative that painted Baldoni in a harsh light. She wasn't just standing by, she was participating. This next section dives even deeper into the chaos, and it's pretty disturbing. In later text messages with Taylor Swift, Blake allegedly compared Justin Baldoni's comments about consent to an old article where he had publicly spoken about his own experience as a survivor of sexual abuse. That's a heavy accusation to throw into a private chat. Now, Blake disputes this, of course. She says she only mentioned personal times where physical consent wasn't given in a sexual act, but didn't label anyone as the abuser or the abused. She also claims she simply shared that old article about Baldoni with Taylor, not that she was mocking or twisting it. But here's where it gets unsettling. According to records, her later behavior actually seemed to confirm parts of Baldoni's account. Supposedly, during an April 2023 car ride, he told Blake's security detail that there had been times when women forced themselves on him, and that he had done the same to women, even when they said no or didn't consent. That's a horrifying claim, and it's not clear yet how much of it can be proven, but it's definitely serious. Now, shifting gears, this connects to the whole trailer edit drama that also involved Taylor. During the following weeks, Blake allegedly made extensive edits to the film's trailer and poster, but she's pushing back hard on that claim, calling it argumentative and unsupported. The cited evidence only shows a couple of texts, one from Blake E. Greenstein talking about edits, and another where she messaged Taylor asking her to watch the trailer. There's no solid proof she actually directed or performed massive re-edits herself. Still, it sounds like she was hustling to get the final cut she wanted. While trying to lock down her version of the film, Blake was texting her A-list circle, and yes, Taylor pops up again. She reportedly told her famous friends, including Matt Damon, Lucy Damon, and Ben Affleck, that she had rewritten the script and directed every actor. That's a bold claim. And to top it off, she was trash-talking Baldoni behind the scenes, even calling him a chaotic clown when chatting with Ben Affleck. This mix of personal accusations, behind-the-scenes edits, and celebrity name-dropping is turning this whole case into one of Hollywood's messiest sagas yet. Now, this part is where the plot totally thickens, because out of nowhere, Ben Affleck enters the chat. Yup, Blake actually texted Ben Affleck, and the message is jaw-dropping. She told him, "I ended up rewriting and restructuring the entire script. I also ended up having to direct the movie via be chaotic clown, director, actor, producer, financier, studio head at the center." Talk about shade. That line alone doesn't sound like she's describing herself as a victim of harassment, more like she's venting about how much she dislikes Baldoni. And get this, she doesn't even deny sending those texts. She owns it completely. But Blake didn't stop at venting. She was rallying her A-list friends for backup. She urged Colleen Hoover, Matt Damon, Lucy Damon, Ben Affleck, Bradley Cooper, and Taylor Swift to publicly support her version of the film instead of Baldoni's. It's like she was building her own Hollywood army. One of the most telling exchanges came on April 26, 2024, when Blake and Taylor were texting about using one of Taylor's songs for the trailer. Taylor reportedly said if Justin was strategic, he'd be like, "No Taylor Swift in the trailer, because that gives you more power over the film. That's your ally, not his." And Blake fired right back. "You are so right. He should have run from your music. How stupid. This was his only shot at having the appearance of an upper hand." So they were literally strategizing about how the music placement could shift the power dynamic, and both knew that Taylor's involvement made Blake look stronger. Taylor even admitted in the text that her friendship gave Blake leverage, saying it outright that she was Blake's ally. That's a huge contradiction compared to what Taylor said publicly about staying out of it. And honestly, it makes sense now why Taylor's been so quiet. Her silence has always stood out, and seeing this, it's pretty clear why she's avoiding the topic. Every word would pull her deeper into the storm. But wait, there's another unexpected twist. The Van Zee and Stephanie Jones connection pops up here too. In or around August 2024, Blake apparently connected with Ashley Avon, a former publicist for SP, through a mutual contact. The two shared and discussed information Jones had found on Abel's personal phone. And somehow, Taylor Swift's name surfaces again in that same thread, meaning this web keeps looping back to her no matter where you look. Between the Hollywood alliances, secret texts, and power plays, this isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. It's turning into a full-blown industry chess match, and everyone's making their move. Now here's where things start feeling like a full-on thriller. We're diving into Blake Lively's deposition, and even though not all of it's public yet, the pieces we do have are explosive. It starts with a text straight from Taylor Swift to Blake. Taylor allegedly said, "This PR chick wants to get info to Blake." Can you believe that? Apparently, Taylor was the one warning Blake that something big was about to go down. According to the filings, back in August 2024, Blake was approached by Ashley Avon, who told Blake that Stephanie Jones had possession of a phone containing the most disturbing messages she'd ever seen in her 20 to 30-year career. Avon said Jones believed Blake deserved to know what was said about her, and Jones supposedly wanted to share those messages with her directly. That's wild. Here's where it gets even trickier. Blake and Ryan Reynolds co-own a company called Van Z, where Blake serves as president and holds 50% ownership. The docs say Van Z has no real outside operations. It's basically a shell used to handle their personal expenses. No other owners, no officers, just Blake and Ryan running it all. So when Taylor now claims she felt used, it's hard to square that with the messages we're seeing. The truth is, she seemed fully on board, lying to Baldoni for Blake, joining in the private mockery, and even calling him this bitch while coordinating on timing for the press. And honestly, that doesn't sound like someone scared of him. It sounds like someone who felt untouchable and justified. Like she believed she had every right to join in and take him down. This part changes the tone completely. It's not fear, it's control. And that realization hits hard. Now it's all starting to click. This is exactly why Taylor Swift's name keeps surfacing in connection with the bullying accusations. The puzzle pieces are falling into place, and the timing couldn't be more revealing. We still don't have the entire set of text messages. Wayfair's side hasn't filed their exhibits yet, but they're expected to do that tomorrow. For now, everything we've seen was filed by Blake Lively, which means it's her version of events, the side meant to show her in the best possible light. But even then, the evidence doesn't exactly make her look great. Here's the kicker. Blake even used Taylor's advice as a tool to boost her credibility in her PGA, Producers Guild of America, letter. Remember how she once mentioned that Taylor's music was leveraged for control? Well, in that letter, Blake bragged, "I personally secured Taylor Swift to loan her song to our trailer and marketing effort, which helped it become the largest debut of a female-led film trailer of all time. Wild. So proud." That's Blake openly using her friendship with Taylor as a power move, basically saying, "I brought Taylor Swift into this, and that's why the movie blew up." It's proof that both women knew exactly how much influence Taylor's involvement carried. And here's where it gets kind of frustrating. Taylor is literally one of the wealthiest women in entertainment. She could have easily funded or co-created her own project with Blake and Ryan if she wanted to. So why tie themselves to this film instead? Why stir all this drama over someone else's IP? The only logical reason, this book was already a massive hit, and they knew it was sitting on gold. They wanted in on something that was already guaranteed to dominate. In that same PGA letter, Blake doesn't stop at name-dropping Taylor. She also drops Bradley Cooper's name, using him as another example to justify her case. She wrote something like, "I wish I had been given credit for my work sooner so I could have applied for it right away. My dear friend Bradley Cooper gave me a pep talk about pushing for it, citing his own experience on Nightmare Alley. He was hired as an actor, ended up producing the film, and only got his producer credit a month before release. He applied for a last-minute PGA mark with the crew support, and it was granted. So I'm hoping the same can happen here." She made sure to mention that Bradley told her it was fine to bring up his story, clearly trying to add more weight to her plea. But reading between the lines, it's obvious what she was doing. She was weaponizing her feminism. She wasn't just asking for fair recognition, she was strategically framing herself as a woman fighting the system, while also using her celebrity friendships and feminist narrative as leverage. It's clever, sure, but it's also manipulative. By using Taylor's name and Bradley's credibility, she turned what should have been a professional request into a star-studded influence pitch. And the irony is, she did it while claiming she just wanted fairness and respect. It's honestly wild how far this went. Blake presenting herself as the underdog, Taylor acting as her secret power player, and the whole thing racked up in a girl boss message that now feels completely staged. If this was supposed to be the evidence most favorable to Blake, imagine what the other side still has waiting to drop. Now, this final section of Blake's letter really shows how she tried to frame her fight. And honestly, it's both powerful and calculated. She wrote, "I, as a woman in the industry for 20 years and as a mother of 3 daughters, a big reason I'm pushing to be acknowledged truthfully and accurately for the work I've done on this film is because I believe it's important in this day and age for women to be given credit for the work they've actually done. It's as simple as that. I earned it 50 times over on this job, but I may not get credit for it. And that hurts, not just for me, but for all the women who are told they can't be recognized because there are already too many female producers. We do the work anyway. We have to fight exponentially harder to be acknowledged, and every fight like this helps pave the way for the next woman." It's strong, emotional, and sounds empowering, but when you look closer, it's part of her bigger PR strategy. Blake leaned heavily into that woman in a man's world narrative, tying her personal story to a larger movement for female recognition. It's the kind of appeal that hits all the right emotional notes, especially with audiences who already admire her. But here's where it takes a turn. Her close circle seems to have encouraged that exact angle. Bradley Cooper reportedly told her to fight for the same recognition he got when he went from actor to producer on Nightmare Alley. And Taylor Swift? She appears to have played her part too, suggesting that Blake use her as leverage, her ally in the power game. That's why the whole thing now feels like it got too close to the sun. They tried to girl boss their way through Hollywood politics, but it spiraled into something way messier. Blake ended up weaponizing her feminism, using it not just to demand recognition, but also to build a shield against criticism. And then there's Taylor's involvement, which honestly still blows people's minds. We're talking about a woman who once publicly stood for kindness, yet behind closed doors, she's referring to a man she barely knows as this bitch and helping coordinate Blake's PR strategy through Van Z and even the New York Times. There's not a single message referencing fear or harassment, just plans, control, and calculated moves to gain influence. Taylor was involved way before any real legal dispute started, meaning this wasn't about protecting a friend, it was about building an advantage. That's why her silence now feels so loaded. She's not staying quiet out of loyalty or fear, it's because deep down, she probably realizes how bad this all looks. And honestly, that's the twist that changes everything. This was never just a fight for fairness or credit. It turned into a power play, one wrapped in the language of empowerment, but driven by control. And Taylor, it seems like she knows that better than anyone. At this point, it's honestly hard not to feel conflicted, because when you look at everything side by side, the double standard is impossible to ignore. If Blake can text a male co-star joking, "Put on a short skirt and get on the corner, I'm pimping you out," and everyone laughs it off, but Justin makes 2 small comments about wardrobe being sexy, and suddenly he's painted as the villain? How does that make sense? It's such a clear imbalance, and it's hard to watch it play out like this. My heart's honestly shattered reading all this. It feels heavy, and it's not easy to process. The tone of those texts, the manipulation, the power moves, it's just so much. I can't stop thinking about how different the public image is compared to what's actually being revealed behind the scenes. I seriously want to know what you think. Do you believe this proves there's a double standard here? Or is there more to the story we haven't seen yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to read what everyone thinks about this mess. And don't forget, we're diving into Ryan Reynolds' role and what part he played in all of this in the next video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss it, because the next part, it's gonna get even wilder.